Hi, my name is James Toner, and we're making this video for my website to talk a little bit about what happens during the pre-arrest process, the statements that are often very incriminating, that hurt you, and when you need to invoke your right to counsel. I've been practicing in this office for over 20 years. I'm a criminal defense lawyer here in Mineola, New York. The first thing you need to understand is that most criminal cases are made by statements. And what I mean by statements, they're statements that put a person at the time and place of a crime. Let's say there's a burglary on Front Street. If the person admits that he was at Front Street at or about the time of the burglary, that's very compelling evidence that he's the person who committed the burglary, in conjunction with maybe fingerprints, in conjunction with maybe witnesses, evidence that was left at the scene. His statement is compelling evidence for a jury. So oftentimes a police officer will stop a car, ask you to get out of the car, ask you a number of questions, or show up at your house, try to convince you to come down to the police station, tell them that they just want to ask you a few questions, you'll be home by the end of the day, throw you off balance a little bit. Now, it's those periods of time where you need to remember what I'm saying. They probably have evidence that you're involved in something. Even if you know that you were involved in something, you don't want to play this off. They always know more about this case than you do. What you want to do is ask them, are you being arrested? If the answer is no, then refuse to go down to the police station and contact a lawyer immediately. If they tell you you are being arrested, you're going to have to trust me when I say this. You are going to be arrested regardless of whether you go down to the police station cooperatively and give a statement or not. Wouldn't it be better not to give that statement, not to enhance the detective's case? So what do you do? Now, number one, attorneys would love to speak to every arrestee before arrest, speak to every person before they're interviewed by the police. But it invariably never happens that way. We get these cases in the middle of the night when the person's in custody. We get the case after the person's been arrested, after the statement's been given, after the damage has been done. Oftentimes when somebody's in custody and we call the police station and tell them not to question our clients, we're shuffled around in various lines, hung up on, and until you fax something indicating they're invoking their right to counsel, do they stop the questioning? And they often don't stop the questioning. So it's really up to you. Now, if you're being questioned by the police, ask them, do I have a right to an attorney? And at that point, invoke your right to an attorney. Say, I want to speak to an attorney before I continue this interview any further. May I go home? Am I under arrest? If the answer is no, get up and leave. If the answer is yes, there is absolutely no reason under this sun why you need to give a statement in this case. Again, most cases are made by statements. Let's take the police officer who pulls over somebody on the road at night. Sir, have you been drinking? Person taken a little bit off guard. Yes, I've had 2 beers. That's an incriminating statement. So these statements are used against you at trial. And that's a statement that you did not have the ability to speak with an attorney before giving it. You just spontaneously said it. When you sit at trial, that statement will be used against you as admission. Which brings us to the next category, admissions. When the police officer brings you down to the station, his goal is to obtain an admission. His goal is to get you to admit the crime, and he does this in a variety of ways. We've all heard about good cop and bad cop. One cop is very nice, the other cop is very bad. You go to jail, you're going to do 10 years, you better talk to us now. The other guy's like, you better take it easy. This kid, he's a good kid, just give him some time, and they play with you mentally. How do you avoid good cop, bad cop? Invoke your right to counsel. I want to speak to my attorney. And under our system of laws, the questioning needs to stop. Never sign a statement before you discuss this case with your lawyer. Never continue the interview unless you have an opportunity to speak to an attorney. My number is on our website. Keep it with you if you need it, and call us. And of course, we'll tell you what's on this video. Stop the interview, invoke your right to counsel, and if they're going to arrest you, the arrest will be made. If they're not, they'll turn you loose. No harm done. Now, these statements are often very directed at an admission. So the police officers often are plugging holes in their case. They need to know, they need to close the gap. Let's take the case where a driver leaves the scene of an accident. His license plate is obtained, the description of the vehicle is there, but there was no description of the driver. So the police officers know that this car was operated. They know the car is operated by an individual. They just have nothing linking that individual to the scene of the crime. So they get you in a nice discussion. They bring you down to the police station. We're operating this car at such and such a time on such and such a date, of course, the time and date of the accident. And that admission in conjunction with the license plate, the ownership, is enough to convict on a case for leaving the scene of an accident. Now, the purpose of this is not to tell you how to break the law. The purpose is to illustrate how a statement can make the prosecutor's case each and every time. And police officers, detectives, state investigators, FBI agents, they are trained to plug the holes in their case through these interrogations. Well, thank you for listening today. Our next tape is going to be about the arraignment process. Remember, if you're asked to go down to the police station for questioning, if you're being questioned by police, invoke your right to counsel. They have to stop the questioning. Thank you so much for listening. This has been James Toner, and we'll see you again soon.